Hello everyone, this is Garrett with Dermamatch Products. Today I'm going to talk to you about skin thickness throughout the head. I'm going to use this dummy head as an example of different areas I've marked for different skin thicknesses. Alright, so you may recognize this head from a video that I used it in before where I was showing all the good and bad techniques to use along the front edge of the hairline. I went ahead and added these marks to show different regions and what I use. This is just half the head, so you picture the same thing on the other side. But showing my recommendations on where to be cautious with depth. So right around the front region here, the skin is really thin. So really just tread lightly all along here. And these aren't really hard cutoff points. You can, blend from one to the other. This is more medium depth. And then back here is where you're gonna have trouble with either one of these staying for different reasons. This skin back here is thick, but it's not as thick as what's down here. So up here, in this scenario, you may want to keep it a medium depth, but just move a little bit slower to ensure everything stays here in the crown. And then down here, the skin is really thick. So I'll oftentimes switch to like an SMP 5 needle and just go really deep with it. And even then, it's trial and error to see if that's going to show at all. Now, this is not just a blanket rule for all heads. It's just kind of a general guide. What you should be doing with every single head is, and I tell this to everybody that's, starting out especially, and to myself, I mean, I tell everybody, I learn something new on every single head I work on. And what that means is everybody's scalp thickness is different, but they generally follow these rules of skin thickness. So on somebody, no matter what, when you're in this area, you do a few really light points and see if they're staying. If they stay, great. If they're not when you wipe away, then you're not going deep enough. Once you have you see that the little points are staying, then you kind of fill in this area as you normally would, keeping it light all around here. Once you start to work into this area, you do your test again. Am I going deep enough? And once you determine that you are by doing like 6 points, wiping away, and doing another 6, getting slowly deeper, okay, now this is what I'm going to do for the rest of this section. Then as you work your way back here, you may do a few points and it may not stay, and you go a little bit deeper, and then you basically are calibrating each time you go to different sections. And this constant recalibrating of your technique and depth is the reason why you will be learning something new on every head you work on. To give you an example, I had a client come out from California who had really large spots all along his head. He had the entire top of his head worked on. And I thought that the artist that had worked on him had just didn't know, they were new, they didn't know what they were doing, and they just went too deep. And they did go too deep, but it was, when I started working on him, I realized it was really easy to do that. You barely touch this guy's skin. It was like dark, it stayed. And he was dark complexion, but you could tell it was just staying so well using my Pigment B on him. So I had to go super light. I had to switch to my smallest SMP 1 needle. And if I hadn't, did the touch calibration where I figured out what my depth should be, I would have done the same mistake that the other artist had done and gone too deep around his entire head. So I do my calibration checks as I go, and it ensured that all the points stayed nice and small. So that's an example of how this can help you out, but it should also give you some comfort if you're new to it, that just as you're gonna have to learn on each head, so does somebody that's been doing it for 10 years. They still have to learn on each head how to adjust their technique per client.